Thanks, Penny and McCall, for being here. It would be great first if you could each maybe give an intro of yourselves and a background on your company, and then we could talk more about AngelCon and what's happened since. Penny, do you want to start?
That sounds great. Thank you, Donica. I am so excited to be here with all of you, and thank you, Madison, and the rest of the SBDC CIE team. My name is Penny Lane Case, and I am CEO and co-founder of Nexstera Tech, where our mission is really to enhance safety and sustainability in the waste management industry. And so our first product, PyroTech, is detecting hazardous lithium-ion batteries in curbside bins before they ever enter the waste stream to mitigate that multi-billion-dollar and environmentally catastrophic problem of lithium-ion battery-induced fires.
Thank you. McCall?
Do I need to hold this, Madison?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Hi, everyone. My name is McCall Skelly, and I am the founder and CEO of Cove, formerly Mense. We are a period care company developing a menstrual cup and applicator that's as easy to insert and remove as a tampon. And in addition to that, for a little bit about me, I'm also an adjunct professor of Intro to Entrepreneurship and Women's Health at Cal Poly.
Great. So we'll start with you, Penny Lane. How has the company evolved since last May when you won AngelCon?
So over the past little under a year, we've definitely made significant strides in advancing the multi-sensor detection technology that we use to identify the batteries. And so we've transitioned from our proof of concept testing to refining our hardware for greater reliability, and through this conducting extensive lab and field tests with this advanced technology. And so we are really improving our prototype to meet durability and reliability standards in this field. And so that's on the technical side, lots of progress, but we've also been expanding our team to support this development and strategic growth across the board. And so these customer partnerships that we're building require us to not only move forward at a rapid pace with the tech, but also with our ability to support our team as a whole. And so we're advancing more paid pilot pathways and really connecting our solution to the real world needs. And so we're focused on working every day in the lab, collecting the data and moving it towards our customers in these paid pilots that will run throughout 2025.
Great. And how about you, McCall? What has happened in your life since May?
Oh my gosh, what hasn't happened since May? We have a new name, if you haven't noticed. I would say since May, we've really dove into partnering with our customers and our waitlist of 200 plus individuals at this time, as we've gone through our branding to make sure it really reflects our customers. And then we've also been working with them to really have them test our product and tell us what it is that they want, which has been an incredibly rewarding process to just get their feedback and really have them aligned with our mission as we move forward. So that's been really exciting to see. In addition to that, we have also expanded our team, bringing on a manufacturing engineer and a product development manager. And we have just received our first round of feedback from the National Institute of Health, which has been very exciting to see.
So let's talk a little bit more about AngelCon and that journey. How did the funding that you received as the runner-up impact what you've been able to do through Mense/Cove?
I would say since AngelCon, I mean, we would not be where we are right now without that funding. That gave me the ability to bring on a grant expert who has helped us with our grant applications to the National Institute of Health. It helped us bring on our product development manager, our manufacturing engineer, as well as our patent attorney so that we can submit our utility patent.
That's great. And Penny Lane, beyond funding, were there unexpected benefits from participating in AngelCon, mentorship, networking opportunities, funding outside of what you won through the AngelCon competition itself?
Absolutely. I would say yes to all of those that you just listed. Something else that was tremendous was the due diligence process and really building out our data room and the way that we're able to communicate with interested parties, whether that's investors or customers or supporters in the industry. And so all of this work, it wasn't really a competition. It was almost like a mini accelerator program. And it was so valuable to just learn the lingo of this space and how to really make an impact and an impression on these people. And so beyond the funding that we received from AngelCon, we were able to secure quite a bit more from interested audience members and people from the due diligence team, alongside just the networking and mentorship opportunities that arose. And so we are still in contact with many of the people from the AngelCon team.
That's great. As you talked about the sort of mini accelerator, did AngelCon help play a role in helping you refine your pitch or refine your business model in any way? And can you describe that?
Definitely. I would say that AngelCon was instrumental in sharpening how we present Pyrotax value and the market potential. And so it really helped me to clearly articulate what our impact is and why we're providing this solution to the industry now and why it wants it so badly. And so just aligning it with the needs of our stakeholders and then the investors and the potential customers, and having that space to discover how do we promote this message to these various stakeholders. It's not just about pitching to certain types of investors, whether they're more technical or more business oriented, but also different types of customers. The waste industry in particular, it's very diversified. And so having this ability to speak with so many people that have expertise across business development and technological development was tremendous.
Great. And how about you, McCall? What did you learn from the AngelCon experience?
I mean, not to hop on Penny's train, but I would echo pretty much everything that Penny said. I mean, the due diligence process was amazing. Penny and I have been in accelerators and incubators since AngelCon. And I would say that the feedback and the depth that the mentors go into and the advisors go into when going through your pitch and going through the due diligence with you as well, Donica, was huge and made us very impressive to our other mentors in these accelerator programs that we did. And I think that gave us a competitive edge as we move forward for sure.
Great. And if you hadn't participated in AsiaCon, well, where do you think your company would be today?
I think we would be quite tightly bootstrapped and moving a lot slower than we are at this point in time. So I am very thankful for the faith that AngelCon investors had in me and Cove this past May.
Same question to you, Penny Lane. Where do you think Nextera would be without AngelCon if you didn't participate?
Definitely echoing McCall, we'd still be moving forward, but it would have been much more challenging. And so, with the resources and support that we were gifted by AngelCon, we have been able to tackle these aspects of growth and strategy with a team rather than on our own. And I think it would have looked a lot more independent, which would have been much more challenging. And so, it has allowed us to progress at the speed that we want to go.
Great. Is there anything that surprised you about the journey through AngelCon and after?
I would say the biggest surprise that I've had is that it's not a surprise, but it is very clear now fundraising never stops. And so it's
Yes.
it's something that going through AngelCon that was largely focused around the fundraising process and being able to communicate with these investors. But in the back of my mind, I was hoping that it would let up a bit after we completed this round. And it has just been go, go, go since then. And so that has been a warmly welcomed surprise of it is a constant process in my role to always raise money for our vision and to allow our team to continue moving forward and provide this solution. And so it's a wonderful realization.
You are not the first founder that I've heard that from, and many founders, you know, fear the fundraising part of their job, but I think both of you seem to be doing very well at it as well. Because McCall, you recently won another award at the Central Coast Economic Forum.
Yes, we did. That was very exciting. Got
Yeah.
to compete with two other amazing teams in the incubator program here at the Hot House.
Yeah. And so going forward, why would you encourage other entrepreneurs and startups to apply for AngelCon?
I'll start off with a little bit of vulnerability here for my other founders. So when I applied to AngelCon, I had decided the week before that I was going to apply because I thought I was not qualified to do it. And I think oftentimes as female founders, we feel that we need to have all of the answers before we are ready to apply for that pitch competition, apply for that grant, and all these opportunities. And I'm really thankful that I had mentors who encouraged me to apply. And I would say to other founders, if you think you're underqualified, you're probably not. You should absolutely apply. Even if you don't get in, you will get invaluable feedback through that application process. And the due diligence process alone, again, echoing what Penny said, has been so vital to us moving forward and being able to interact with other investors outside of San Luis Obispo.
Great. And then I know you both have really hit the head on the nail with the due diligence process and what you've learned through that. Can you give everybody just a little bit of a discussion about that? Summarize what is, how you went about it, your interaction with the AngelCon investors through that process. So the startups that are listening to this that might want to apply know what they're going to be in for. Penny?
Definitely. Yes, I can jump in. So I would say that to start, the biggest source of fear is the unknown, and it can be translated, but the unknown of what is due diligence, what are these investors expecting me to have? And so one of the first things that we received were lists of everything that should be in your data room and everything that you should be able to speak on. And I'm a list person. And so for me, having that list just took so much weight off of my shoulders of the unknown, because this is our first time in this space taking such a big step to bring innovations to these stakeholders. And so having that list was the first step of the due diligence, and we were able to take that and build out our data room. And I use DocSend for my data room. It's a professional interface that we can invite certain stakeholders to use as their own private link. And then we're able to organize all of our documents, all of our executive summaries, the pitches, what this past round's cap table looks like, and have it all in one place. And then our due diligence team was able to look at that due diligence data room and ask questions from that. So we're communicating effectively because they know what progress we've made and what questions still need to be answered. And so we had a team that was really communicative. I feel so grateful for the people that were able to lead us through this round. It was led by Adam Wells, and they communicated with me about 3-4 times a week, brilliant questions over email. They even came into the lab and visited our space that we were taking thousands of scans in weekly. And they wanted to genuinely see what we were working on and what our thought process was around this development. And so ultimately, it's a way for you to get everything in order and then to understand how you are thinking about the business, because there's so much to do with startups. And so sometimes you miss the really obvious questions that if you know them, but you've just never asked yourself. And so to have someone else ask those questions, whether they're simple or very intricate, it is incredibly helpful for you to better understand your business and your why. And so that's a general overview of what it looked like. It was building out that data room and then communicating very frequently back and forth over email, over Zoom, and then in-person meetings with our due diligence team.
Great. And for those of you that might not be familiar with AngelCon itself, we run the program to train investors on how to do investing in early stage startups, going from, developing a thesis for the fund, how to invest in safes or convertible notes or other types of vehicles, a very detailed session on due diligence, cap tables, financial statements. And then when the top 12 pitch, and then we pick a top 6 finalists. The top 6 finalists go into the due diligence, and we break up the investor groups into small teams. Each team of about 3 to 4 people is assigned one of the top 6 and goes into very in-depth due diligence, just like Penny Lane described. And it's a great process on both the team side, the startup team, and for the investors. And I know a lot of the investors enjoy getting to know the startups in such good detail and working with them through the process. And I think, like both of you have said here today, it is helpful because you can learn what might need to be fixed as part of your due diligence or come up to speed for future rounds, maybe with venture funds and such. So it's a great program on either side of the table. So that's my plug for investors to come and join us. We're still looking for more investors for Fund 8. We have a couple investors here today. Let's talk a little bit about pitching, because I know I would be nervous to get up and pitch in front of all these people. What advice would you, let's start with you, McCall, give startups for prepping to pitch at AngelCon?
Absolutely. I would say it's always very different pitching on Zoom versus pitching on a stage in front of a bunch of people that you can now see. For me, I would say make sure that you don't practice until you get it right. Practice until you can't get it wrong, because so many things can go wrong when you are on stage. The clicker might not work. The mic might have some connection issues or something, and you want to make sure that you don't even have to think about what you are going to say. You know it like the back of your hand. So that's the advice that I would give.
Great. And how about you, Penny Lane? What advice would you give?
That was great advice, McCall. I love that phrase. I would also say something that I do that I find incredibly helpful is I'll go through my slides, and as I'm going through, I'll just stream of consciousness, write down what my script would be, and then I'll take time to actually refine that script. And then I record myself saying it. And for the week or so before I pitch on stage, I fall asleep with it on repeat in my headphones. And I know that that is particular, but I promise it does help, and it puts it into your subconscious. And so, like McCall said, you should know it until you can't get it wrong. And this is your company, and so you do know it, but there's nerves and there's butterflies, and I love being on stage and talking to people, and I still get almost sick to my stomach. And so having that level of practice behind you is incredibly important.
Can you tell that we're type A founders?
Yeah. And so how does AngelCon prepare you for pitching? Do they help you at all with pitching?
Oh my gosh. I mean, said pitching on Zoom because I think we pitch at least once a week, or was it multiple times a week, Penny?
At least once, I think occasionally it was multiple.
Once or twice every week, we would get on Zoom and practice our pitch multiple times. I think we would back to back with different mentors and advisors go through our pitch, take their feedback, and incorporate it for the next session. So it was a lot of help having that accountability and practicing on Zoom every single week, starting from probably 3 months before the actual competition. So you are definitely ready to go by the time AngelCon comes around.
So what do you think the time commitment is if you make it into the top 12 to start? That's where you start the pitch prep, right? And then the top 6 is the due diligence. So for founders that are running their business, might be fundraising, and then doing AngelCon on top of it, how do they manage it? How did you manage it, McCall?
I mean, for me, I would say it's really killing two birds with one stone. You know, you're getting free advice and free practice. And if you're already raising, you're already needing to be on the ball and pitching to other investors. So again, getting that friendly feedback where there are no stupid questions and being able to learn how to quickly turn around a pitch and incorporate that feedback. I think it's already part of the process of being a founder. So yeah, I wouldn't say it's really adding anything in terms of time commitment. I would say it's more added value to what you're already doing.
Great. Anything to add there, Penny Lane?
Yes, I'm struggling to break apart time spent
Yeah.
on this. And I think it's exactly what McCall said, is that it feels so necessary to everything you're already doing. And it's just so beneficial to your development as a company and as a leader. And so it's everything that you would be working towards in a perfect world anyways. And gosh, I don't even think I can put a number to it to separate it out.
Good to hear. That's great. So what do you think sets AngelCon apart from other competitions or funding opportunities that you've been involved with, Penny?
I would say that the Central Coast in general has such a good hold on community and support, and AngelCon is really reflective of that. The people that you're working with, they really care about you as founders, about your company, about your vision, and they want you to get to that next level and even beyond AngelCon. And so unlike other accelerators or incubators that have their own MO, AngelCon is really about helping you. That's their MO, is creating successful startups and supporting the founders that create them. And so I would say that the level of genuine care is unlike any other accelerator or incubator. And the attentiveness, because of that care, you go so in depth with these people and the questions that they ask, the time that they commit to you. These are not people that have nothing to do all day. They're very busy. They have their own companies. They probably have a few, and they're taking hours and hours out of their week to spend it with you. And so that is very rare. I've been in a few different accelerators and incubators at this point, and it is definitely a special thing to come across.
Any other thoughts on that?
I mean, I'm just going to sound like a broken record here because I 100% agree with Penny. I think the community around AngelCon and just San Luis Obispo, I mean, we're just so blessed to be in San Luis Obispo and have so many investors and mentors and advisors who are so excited about our young founders. And again, same with any competition that I've been involved with. There is no other competition I've been a part of where they coach you so diligently. And that, again, has been invaluable for us in our growth.
Great. So Penny Lane, what do you have planned for 2025? Any special projects you'd like to share? And how do you plan to continue to scale the company?
Absolutely. 2025 is going to be a very big year. We do plan to launch our paid pilots with some of the major waste companies across the United States. And so we're gearing up for that, making sure that everything is in place on the legal side. And with our tech development, we have had a very exciting verbal confirmation of a letter of intent from one of our major partners. And so we are just finalizing that documentation and then moving forward with that. And with us swinging for the big guys, that's how we are planning to scale, is really landing and expanding. And so continuously contributing value towards their key incentives, and their top priority is safety. And so we're able to play into that extremely well, because that's what we are doing, is promoting safety in this industry. And so moving forward with those paid pilots, it's going to open up a whole host of opportunities for us, including strategic funding and a official rollout in the following years.
Fantastic. And same for you.
I would say 2025 is going to be a very busy year for us. We just finished up our last round of product testing with our customers, and we'll be finalizing our design at the end of this month, which we are very, very excited about. We are speaking with a manufacturer in the new year and figuring out the finishing touches on tooling for that product. And we'll be prepping for our Kickstarter campaign later in 2025. We are also waiting to hear back from the National Institute of Health, who we've already heard the panel that reviewed our proposal is very excited about what we have proposed. So lots of wonderful things to come.
Well, great. So let's see if our audience has any questions for either of our two wonderful founders or about AngelCon in general. I'll take the talk in that one. Yeah. Do you got it, Madison? Yeah. Okay.
Start right behind you, Bert, and then you can go next.
Yeah, I just had a question about the investors in AngelCon and just like how sort of involved they are in the company kind of thing, like kind of what their kind of vibes are like in terms of like investing.
Penny, you want to start with that?
Sure. So we send out quarterly variance reports and management reports, and that is our main tool to continuously engage with these investors. And so I actually just met with the fund lead the other day, David Benham, for our AngelCon fund, and we discussed the progress over the last quarter and what he was going to report out to other investors. And so I would say that they allow you to run, but they make sure that they're supporting you in every way that they can. And so it is not a stifling investor relationship. It is very open to supporting you in all of the ways that you need at that moment.
Yeah, I would just echo that as well. For us, we do have some investors from the previous AngelCon fund who are more involved with us just because they have more industry knowledge in the area that we're in. But again, they are just there to help you and are very friendly. So, yeah.
I'd be curious to hear some of the details on what you're looking for in your next round, where you stand on it, numbers, participation, who's going for it, just something about who's supporting you and how it's going.
Great. Penny's currently looking at a new round, so we'll have her talk about that.
Yeah.
And you can
If you want to talk about that.
Thank you. Oh, I've got my
Oh, you got a mic.
speaker, so
Sorry.
it's all you.
So we are currently raising our pre-seed 2 round. It's really focused on engineering hires, and we are raising $800,000 on an $8 million post-money safe. And so we have 365,000 committed out of that 800 so far, and it's really focused on some of our previous investors coming back in for this round, and then we're exploring new investors that are in this market, and so market validation and industry validation investments. And then we're also looking at deep tech investments. So we have a focus on deep tech venture outreach so that we can have some of that more technology specific support on our investment side.
call. Are you raising right now or looking more at the grant?
So at this time, we've paused for raising. We are focusing mainly on our non-dilutive funding as well as that crowdfunding when we do our Kickstarter campaign later in 2025. So,
Great.
yeah.
More questions?
I just want to add quickly though, if I can
Please.
still say something about our round, we are actively looking for people that are passionate about supporting us as we advance. So if there is interest or connections to interest, I would love to connect with anyone in the audience.
Great. Bill.
So my question is about the list that you all mentioned earlier. How many items on that list did you already, have checked off, and how many items were something you were kind of having to figure out on the fly?
For the due diligence list, Penny, you wanna, or McCall, you start with that one.
I would say you already have quite a bit of the information that is on that list. If I recall from my memory right now, we still have that list and use it and revamp it as we talk to other investors. But it is your patents, your company documents, and then your financial projections, which are all portions that are required as part of your AngelCon application. So you are already well equipped when you go into due diligence to start to put all of that together. And again, working with very friendly mentors and advisors, there are no stupid questions. I'm a biomedical engineer by trade. Everything I know about business, I have learned from the hot house. And so you can ask them lots of questions about what is on that list, what it needs to look like in order to gain a real understanding of what you need.
And you should also feel free, if you have legal counsel, to ask them what they know about due diligence, and they might have their own list. Or you can sign up for office hours with one of the legal counsels, and I believe often there are trainings for the AngelCon teams about due diligence. I've given multiple of those trainings in the past, so. As well.
Yeah, Jolie was on our due diligence team, and I believe she now works with the incubator, so she's very, very helpful. Donica was previously, and then she was so great, we hired her, so she could not be on our due diligence team anymore.
Yeah. But I work with Bill too.
I guess this question is more for Penny, since you're more focused on fundraising at this point. But I guess when you wake up in the morning and plan your day, how are you finding, like, how much percentage of your day is fundraising, planning for fundraising, thinking about fundraising? I think that that's important for other founders to understand that AngelCon is one piece of the process, but it requires a whole lot more in most cases.
I would honestly say that all of my time contributes to the fundraising thought process in one way or another. So whether that's working on the financials or communicating with customers or communicating with investors, all of that is my main focus right now. And so those are all pieces of the puzzle for securing the investments that we're looking at. And so in terms of what percentage, right now, 100%, there's some time that is going into making sure that we're staying warm with all of our connections. But for my role, it really all boils back into moving the company forward by demonstrating our progress to raise more money, to continue the progress. And so it's kind of this cycle that revolves around the fundraising for me.
Thank you.
In terms of your like financial model and like or financial projections and revenue model, how did that evolve over the course of due diligence, and like how did that change from what you learned through the AngelCon process? Like what were they looking for? Like specific purchase orders, or like what went into that?
Penny, do you want to start off on that one?
I would say that they are mostly looking for your thought process behind your financials. And so, your modeling really shows how you're thinking about the company and how you're thinking about the now and the scaling that will happen in the future. And so I think before AngelCon, it was much more plug and play. And I'm still evolving the financial model, and it has a lot of room for growth, but it's become more formula driven and more thought driven, and the strategy behind sales and maintenance and storage for the product and every component of that is crucial in how the business works. And so I would say that before AngelCon, it was more just numbers, and now it's more processes. And so it's something that is also a huge focus of mine at the moment, and the continuous evolution of it. It's something that will be a focus of mine for the remainder of the company. And so I would say that, having an understanding of your business is what they're really looking for and supporting you and developing with the financials.
Yeah, I would also echo that, just having an understanding of your business and then also having clear financial projections is vital to knowing how much money you need to raise, right? And so being able to understand that and go through that process in this and having an in-depth understanding is crucial. I would say since then for us, we've been able to bring on a bookkeeper and work with fractional CFOs, and being able to go through the process myself and really learn from the ground up what make up our financial projections has made it really helpful for me to be able to work with the fractional CFO and understand in depth what it is that we need in order to get where we want to go.
I'll comment on the investor side, and I don't know if anybody else, Bert or Alec or anyone wants to comment, but we want something that's not just numbers out of thin air. We want to see something that there's thought behind it, like Penny has said and McCall has said, that is, especially if you have a product that you're selling, like the Cove cup, right? How much is it going to cost? What are your COGS going to be, right? And what is your retail price going to be? So your revenue line, when you show us, there is some thought behind that versus your COGS and, how are you going to get there? So if you just sort of make up numbers without thought, it's not showing us that you're really in it to, win it, I guess. And Alec, you have a comment? Please, Alex, financial guy, so.
That's a great jacket.
Thank you. Yeah, just adding to what they've said, like, that's all 100% true. There's also an element of, like, this is more the nuts and bolts of, like, building, in a spreadsheet, is like not having hard-coded things, like being able to make the model, give it the foundation that is adaptable by connecting everything. And that's where the intuition that Penny was talking about is, because it's easy to just throw numbers on a spreadsheet and even feel like, you have, there's some reasoning behind them. But I think as what an investor is looking for is that you understand how all those numbers relate to one another. And if you push on one number, how it's going to affect other numbers. And so you need to build the financial projection to be adaptable in that way. And that's going to be massively helpful to what Penny was talking about.
And it will evolve over time. We don't expect that, day one, when you're in a pre-revenue company, that you're going to have a perfect financial model, but we want some thought behind it.
That's actually a perfect lead into an online question that we had. I think Donica, you would probably speak best to this as a previous participant, as an investor, as well as our legal fund manager. When would you say that a company is ready for AngelCon? What checklist items should they have ready to join?
Well, I think everyone can speak to that, but, they have to have a solid business plan, I think our thesis says we want to see them, either have an MVP or some sort of customer traction towards an MVP, that you've developed a solid, roadmap towards what you're going to produce, your product or your service. We've had very early stage companies win. These two ladies here were very early stage coming in, and we've had more mature companies. So every year it's different. I think that you need to have a legal entity. Typically, we only invest in C Corps. If you are an LLC, we would talk about converting you to a C Corp before we would invest in you. Working with good legal counsel, hopefully maybe start working with an accounting firm or getting some advice through the Hot House and the SBDC on your financials. And, even if you're early, go, apply. You can keep applying year after year. I think you just have to believe in yourself and your team and go for it. Don't let fear stop you.
Penny and McCall, did you have
Yeah.
anything to note on what made you feel ready to apply for AngelCon?
I would say again, as I said earlier, my mentor is really encouraging me and telling us, no, we're not too early. Absolutely go for it. Get the financial projections together and use what you do have. I think for us, as a classified as a 510K or class 2 510K exempt medical device, traction for us looks very different. And so that was something that I had to talk through my mentors with and how we show that we did have that traction. So maybe we didn't have pre-sales because legally we can't, but we did have over a wait list of over 200 plus individuals and countless interviews that we had conducted where folks, where folks had said that this was a problem that they had and that they would be willing to pay for a solution. And so I think there's different ways to show that traction and show the work that you have put into this and the drive that you have for your company.
Alex, we want you to show that there's a path to success. That you can be early.
I'm just curious about more of the, like, your answer right there to that question. I mean, some of what I can imagine is, well, I know from an investor standpoint, but I'm thinking more about from your guys' standpoint as founders, how important it is to have that balance between your intuition, but also adaptability and being able to get over the fear of putting yourself out there by signing up for something like AngelCon. Like, that's all very squishy, soft stuff. It's not stuff you learn in an accounting class or anything like that. So I'm just wondering if you guys can talk a little bit about that, your personal experience with those more human, emotional type things.
Of overcoming that fear of putting
Yeah.
yourself out there.
Yeah.
I would say, I think the blessing is getting rejected over and over and over again and just getting used to it and knowing that the more you get rejected, the higher likelihood you have of getting that one acceptance and that one yes. I think the first time, and again, Penny said this earlier, what's scary is the unknown of putting yourself out there and not knowing what people are going to say or what's going to happen. But I think once it's known and once it's happened multiple times, you're like, yeah, this kind of sucks. It's not super fun. I don't really love this feeling. But you start to pull it away from your personal identity, and I think seeing it as a personal failing and reframing it as each rejection is helping you get to that one success is what I would say.
Anything to add there?
Everything that has been said is brilliant, but it's just, you're not going to have any opportunities if you don't walk through these doors. And maybe it'll get shut on your face, but you have to try and open it. And so just giving yourself the opportunity to try, there is an element of jumping off that cliff and just doing it in the middle of your countdown and not holding on to that fear. And we're at this stage, many people, where if you are ready to step into entrepreneurship, you're ready to take some risk because it's a risky business. And you have to be okay with that and really tap into that everything that can come from the risk, because there is so much on the other side. And even if it's not this door that gets opened and it's this path, it will teach you something. You'll have taken one step and you'll have a new perspective, and you'll see new answers and new pathways. And so I just think it's throwing yourself over that hurdle consciously and just trying.
And sorry, you also mentioned intuition. I wanted to make sure I touched on that. I also don't think you can build intuition, or what I would say is self-trust, without failing, because you need to know how you deal with failure. And so I think having more and more failures builds you up so that you can have that success and build that self-trust as well.
Thank you.
Okay, I have two questions. You ladies are amazing. The first is, what do you think stood out about your pitch to the judges and investors? Like, what made you the winners? And the second part is, would you change anything on your AngelCon journey if you had a chance to do it again? Was there anything you'd do differently?
Go for it, Penny.
I'll start with the first question, what it was about the pitch. I think that that's maybe a misconception about AngelCon, is that it's the pitch that wins. And it's really the due diligence and everything that is uncovered from the due diligence. And the pitch is the cherry on top. But I think that it is from their investigation into our team and the drive that we have and the talent that we have and their investigation into the problem that we're solving and how big it is and that it's growing and the traction, the market size that is desperately needing this. It's all of that that came under the pitch that allows us to put those things into the pitch and then speak on it. That's what made us a candidate that was able to win AngelCon. And so it's really everything under the surface that shows them we are the team that is going to take this solution and make it a reality.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Go ahead and answer the second question, Penny.
Would you please remind me what that second
Oh,
question was?
well, is there anything that you would have done differently if you went back and did it again? Was there anything that you would have done differently from that journey?
That is a great question. I think that the biggest thing that we did was really take advantage of our due diligence team and learn as much as we possibly could in that time frame that we had with them pre AngelCon pitch. And so I would say doing even more of that would be something that I would encourage, and communicating with them more and getting them even more involved in our processes. But at the moment, I don't have a direct answer for something I would change.
Oh, that's good. You won, so you must have done it right.
And remind me what the first question was.
Oh,
again.
what do you think about yeah, that's a better way to say it.
Oh.
Your company made you stand out. Like, what was it that was special that made them think, oh, yes,
Again, I would echo what Penny said. I think when it comes to investors and investment, they're investing in the team, not necessarily the idea. You can have a great business idea or a great product, and if you don't have a great team, it's not going to go anywhere. So I really think that at the time, Mense, now Cove, really showcased our passion for women's health and our drive to make changes in this space. And I'm always so thankful when I see investors really investing and seeing the need in the women's health area. And so I think in our pitch, I was able to really reflect and show that this is not a problem that we are letting go of anytime soon. And we are here to stay, and we're going to be getting this product to our customers and changing people's lives.
amazing.
And for your other question, for what I would change, I would say I think we were in office hours every week. I think the only thing I would change now, having really worked with or gotten coaching more from VCs in addition to that, I think I would have asked even more questions in the due diligence process when it comes to presenting that to different audiences. But really, they were very, very thorough, and the work that we conducted has helped us immensely.
Amazing. Thank you.
I just echo about the pitch itself. It's not the determining factor, like Penny said. It's the whole process that the investors look at. And, somebody could be a great person to be a presence on stage, but if there's nothing under the surface, then there's a problem. We want something about the solid business plan, something that can be taken from concept to reality. And is it the right team to do that? And then can the leader be a presence on stage to present that? So it's the whole package really. Yeah.
I would also add through that process, as I said before, with the building self-trust and everything, being able to know that you don't have all the answers and being coachable, I think, is another thing
Yeah.
that is heavily looked for in this process. And in general, any investor who's going to be working with you and wanting to help you wants someone who's going to be able to listen and receive feedback so that you can improve.
Yeah, I had a question about sort of what sort of equity kind of ranges these investors are trying to take on kind of thing. And then also I was kind of curious too about like the timeline of which they want to get their money back kind of thing, right, as investors, and sort of that kind of side of it in terms of the.
Sure. So we have a minimum prize of $100,000. We don't take into any specific percentage, right? As part of the process of AngelCon, if you make to the top 6, we ask you what your terms of investment are. And then there could be some negotiation on those terms through the due diligence process and working with the teams based on what we think you're presenting to us. If it's out of the ballpark range, what we think is typical for your stage of company. And so in the AngelCon fund, most investors are looking for a return within about an 8-year time frame. That's what we anticipate. We are investors that are here to learn and grow with you, with the network, and support the young entrepreneurs that come through this program. And we're not in a traditional venture fund that we're expecting, you know, a 300% return on our investment. We are here more as a support mechanism. Maybe Bert has something to add to this. But our fund administration expenses is to last about 8 to 10 years. And so that's the ROI timeline that we hope. And that's typically what we're seeing these days for exits, because just where the markets are today for exits is not a 3-year turnaround any longer. And so that's what we're anticipating. And so depending on how much we raise in any given year, 100,000 is the minimum. Last year we had a lot more money to give, so we were able to give each team a nice amount and split the pot into 2. We don't have to split it into 2, but some years we have been able to do that, and that's at the investor's discretion to do that. Mm-hmm.
Bert, did you want to add
Yeah, anything to add? Or Alec? Yeah.
Awesome. Just to add, I mean, I've been on the investor side, and I would definitely echo what Donica said, that a lot of the investors are not professional investors. That's my background, but not in startups. But most people are coming from, I mean, people are coming from all over, different industries, different experience levels, you know, all that type of stuff. So it's not as formal, I would say, to the question as like what you would get at a VC. And the one thing that I realized when I learned more about like angel investing is that nobody has any idea what the valuation of the company is. I mean, the numbers on the page, they need to make sense, and the founder, the company needs to have intuition behind the numbers. But it's highly, I mean, it's like impossible to know. So a lot of it is kind of standard. It's where, you know, Donica said, it depends on where the market is at that time. And I think at that early of a stage, because there's usually not really proof, it's very hard to know. So you kind of lean on the rules of thumb and wherever the market is at that time. So I add that just because if you're a founder or you're a team, I would not lose sleep over that. You're not going to have a whole lot of influence over it at this stage. It's just at the helm of what's going on in the market.
Yeah, and one more thing to add is there's often been times where investors find a company they like, whether they're the winner or not, and might want to invest more. And we called it a sidecar. So they've pulled together funds and invested in that other team. And so that's happened too through the AngelCon program. So whether you win, you could still be able to raise funds, and the networking, I think that the investors that you meet and the business people, because one of the things we try to do on the due diligence team is we might have a finance person, a technical person, a business person, and group you with that. And those people that you meet can be invaluable resources going forward as well. So it's a great process for any young entrepreneur, and just go for it.
Any other questions?
Okay, since I am just involved now and wasn't last year, people can get involved in AngelCon from lots of different things, but one of the sources is the CIE through Cal Poly or through the Hot House and SBDC. And like, where did you two come from?
Well, Donegan can speak to the other funnels, but we are the Cal Poly funnel. We both graduated from Cal Poly. We both were part of Tom Katona and Dan Weeks' interdisciplinary senior project, which has an entrepreneurial component where we both first developed our companies and then participated in the Hot House Summer Accelerator, and we're both in the incubator. And so that is how we came straight into AngelCon from there.
Yeah, so Cal Poly, as you probably know, has various wonderful student programs that lead up to the Summer Accelerator, right? And then separately, the incubator is a 2-year program that is not only open to, students coming through, but the community as well. AngelCon is open to anyone on the Central Coast. It's a regional thing or has a tie to Cal Poly. So that is, we try not to limit it too much, but we are trying to focus on the Central Coast region because we want to incentivize entrepreneurs in this region. So last year, the applicants, a lot of them are the local Cal Poly grads that have come through our programs. We had several from Santa Barbara. Sometimes we get people coming from the Bay Area that have graduated from our alums from Cal Poly. So that's usually the typical sources that we get for the applicants. And then the investors, again, we don't discriminate against investors. Whoever wants to join us from an investor perspective, please come. We love having a bigger network, more perspectives, the better. And then a lot of them have some tie to Cal Poly, whether they've been introduced from an alum or something like that. But it's a great program for both to train investors and for these teams.